welcome to Lynx River Talk. Today we're here to discuss with you Season 1, Episode 13.
Freeze out.
But first, we've got a character intro to discuss with you.
Leslie Baxter, the student nurse, and she's an interesting character, take my word for it.
Okay, so we'll move on to the summary. So Leslie Baxter is introduced to Harris Miller by Sarah.
Yep. Yeah, the two ladies are on a night walk, it seems like, and they run into Harris, and he mentions, we'll see if you like it here when it drops to 40 below. And I'm thinking to myself, holy crap, man. So, yeah.
As long as I never left inside the house and it was like right by the fireplace, I'd be fine.
So Michelle's doing the tour looking for drunks. Obviously, it's really cold out. It's winter right now, so.
So yeah, they want to be extra safe. She does extra rotations when it's extra colder.
Ray and Leon are passed out in the snow, so then they have to take them to the health center.
They find out they were out in negative 25-degree weather for a minimum of 8 hours, Michelle figured.
Yeah, so, obviously that's dangerous. So Eric gets on the phone to call the medevac, and Peter kind of gets in his face right away about charging Albert, but he's on the phone, so he just kind of ignores Peter. And then Willie was, sorry, go ahead.
Go for it.
Willie was trying to comfort, warm up Leon's hands, and basically Leslie told him that it could kill the skin.
Yeah, she was kind of rude about it, really, I thought. In my opinion, let me know what you think. Leon, and then we got Leon is on the ventilator, and Rosie leaves.
Yeah.
It's a very emotional scene.
Yeah,
you definitely feel for Rosie. Leslie doesn't understand, but you can definitely feel the emotions going on there.
Yeah, well, there's been problems with the drinking already, right? So, so then Ray dies. They try to resuscitate him with, CPR, and it just doesn't work.
And then Eric says he wants Sarah to tell the coroner he wants an autopsy.
Yeah, and they end up, they make radio contact, I believe, with the medevac chopper, so it ends up getting called off or whatever, because, there's no point at this point. Leon's stable and Ray's passed away.
But Leslie is very determined to try to save him, but she doesn't. She just doesn't realize that. And they did all that they could with what they had, and unfortunately, he passed.
Yeah, they don't even have a defibrillator there.
No, Sarah says that was on next year's budget. So then we got Michelle and Eric talking. Because Michelle's really upset about Albert and everything.
Yeah.
She wants him charged with manslaughter.
Well, it's actually Eric that brings up that.
Oh, right, yeah.
He says that, basically
right.
She says nothing's going to happen, I think.
Right,
and then he says, all we got to do is get a glass and get a print off one of the bottles from Albert, and then match it up and then charge him with manslaughter. I find that kind of extreme. I'm not so sure you can charge him with that, but whatever. That's we'll get into that later.
Yeah. And then Eric and Albert talk about Ray and Leon. How Ray's dead, Leon's on a ventilator, about the booze, how they got alcohol poisoning, and he's going to charge him with manslaughter.
Yeah, he brings up that it is manslaughter, or at least in his opinion.
That he's going to try to go for that at least.
So Leon and Sarah talk about what happened with Ray and Rosie.
Yeah, he wants to know where Rosie is.
Yeah.
And he's like, doesn't she know where I am? And she's like, yep. But it's like, come on, Leon. Like, she's hurt. She's broken. She can't handle it anymore. Eric comes in to talk despite Sarah's objections. And Leon asks for Rosie and then passes out.
Yeah, he obviously wants to get some info from him regarding what he's, investigating, but, he's still in really rough shape, so Sarah doesn't want him really answering questions.
Yeah, and Leon didn't really give him much anyways, so.
So then Eric and Michelle talk again. Really, I guess not really much happens there.
No, and then they got the band council meeting to ban Albert. But the RCMP can't enforce it.
Yeah, but he is banned by the council. So,
yes, they do all vote and agree on that.
So then Albert is shot. Pretty exciting scene.
And then
gunned down while I think he's taking groceries back home.
Yeah, he's like right near the river, so kind of out in the open. And then TV hearing something, like he hears the gunshot, he goes outside and tries to go to help Albert, but Elsie says something and that we personally don't understand because she is
speaking in Dene.
Yes, or and then TV kind of argues, but Elsie says something again and gives him a look or something. Inside.
Yeah, so Leslie gets scared by Joe.
Yeah.
I guess Joe's a little rugged looking for her, but we think Joe looks really cool. But.
I don't just think that. I think he looks amazing. He is just.
But so then Albert walks in to the health center and collapses because he's been shot.
Yeah. And TV, Marie, Joey all talk about Albert, and we get funny thing from Joey, like, why didn't you help him? And then TV is something like, his grandma, man, she was scary. that look. Just love it.
So then Sarah, Eric, and Albert argue about Eric leaving town. They want him sent to Yellowknife, and they want to, because they want to extract the bullet, and they want to be able to use it for testing for the case.
Yeah, so that's what makes Albert finally agree to go, is so that they can make a case.
Yeah, he wasn't willing to go for health reasons, but he wants to find out who shot him, I think.
Yeah.
So then Eric and Michelle talk about possible suspects, who's got a rifle. They know it was a .303, I believe.
I don't know if they did yet.
Yeah, I think they do, but because TV is not a suspect because he only has a .22. But anyways.
Shirley and the kids destroy a bunch of evidence.
Yeah, obviously kind of purposefully.
Shirley is. I see what you did there, Shirley. And oh my God, I love it. This is awesome. You see a lot from her. You don't see Shirley a whole lot yet, and it's nice to actually see her in a scene. Really in a scene. She's got some a bit more sass than we thought the nice little school teacher had.
So then Eric visits Joe. They talk. He questions Joe about what he knows about it. Basically, Eric approaches Joe with respect, though, right? Yeah. He's trying to get his opinion on things. You can tell he's not really formally questioning him.
Well, Joe throughout the whole thing never once is upset by Eric questioning him. He's like, "You're doing your job. Don't worry about it."
So Albert gives advice to the boys. Basically telling them, what to do while he's not around.
Mm-hmm. And Nathan bugs Michelle, like gets really up in her face, like really thinks, really insistent that Peter did it. And we'll talk about why that's really absurd and hilarious later. So yeah, Albert flies off to Yellowknife.
Mm-hmm. So Leon able to go home, but he opts to stay one more day, obviously because of the home situation.
Yeah. He's not sure whether or not Rosie's gonna let him in or not because she hasn't showed up.
Mm-hmm.
So he's not sure what that's gonna be like. And he was sober for quite a while until that night. So again, I think that was another thing that really upset her. It's just like, okay, well, everything was fine, and then all of a sudden, he's almost dead.
Yeah, well, it's just, I think she's getting kind of emotionally drained by this and just doesn't have enough,
she's got
left in her to give.
She's got the kids and everything else to worry about. It's just too much. But yeah.
So TV arrives to do his community service cleaning.
And Michelle and Rosie talk about, and Michelle questions the entire coffee shop about Albert.
Mm-hmm. So then TV and Leslie talk about Eric and Sarah and Albert.
Yeah, she wants to know what the dealio is with Eric.
Yeah, she's doing a little bit of background checking on Eric.
And then TV tells her about Eric and Sarah, even though Eric and Sarah aren't an item anymore.
Yeah, probably most people don't know that though.
But TV wants to her to know about Eric and Sarah.
Mm-hmm.
And then he quickly, because she's still continuing the topic of Eric and Sarah, he quickly changes the subject to Albert being shot.
Yeah.
And then she's gold for that switch because it's some juicy gossip.
So Michelle questions Willie.
I
Willie just
love it. Oh my god, I'm sorry, but I just love Willie in this scene.
Let's put it this way: she doesn't get anywhere with him. He's trying to cover up, and it's very obvious, and it's kind of funny how obvious it is.
Yeah, I didn't even put just cryptic. I put cryptic ... because it's just amazing. You gotta watch it. Go rewatch it. It's amazing.
So then Eric offers to take over the investigation because, it's getting pretty emotional for Michelle, being that she's such a member of the community for so long.
Yes, and Peter was a suspect still.
Mm-hmm.
Because he did have the correct gun, right?
Mm-hmm. So then, yeah, pretty much everybody has the 303 except for TV, I think. So.
Yeah, it's like pretty much all the adults.
So Sarah, Eric, talk, about being friends and giving each other room, and Eric kind of gives her the cold shoulder again. He's kind of been very, once they kind of, the idea of her needing room came up, he's just been like, okay, screw off type thing.
It's like, okay, you forced her into this relationship, and she forced herself to open up and widen herself, but you push way too hard and you shove things down her throat, and she just wanted to back up a little, and then you backed up forever. You make no sense, Eric.
So Peter, Nathan, Herbert, and Walter get into a big confrontation. Sorry, Nathan has a torch. So he looks like he's gonna burn Peter's house down. Peter has a gun.
And I think Herbert or Walter had guns too.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, maybe. But either way, it got heated. Eric has to break it up. He, does a nice thing and saying, there's going to be no charges. Basically, everybody just go home.
When he breaks it up, he tells them to go forward.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Sorry.
So yeah, there's no beef over the weapons. He just says, everybody go home and we'll just let this blow over type thing. Right? So Eric questions Peter. So, it's become formal now. Peter's more or less an official suspect. And
then Leon is officially sent home, but Sarah tells him, if anything changes, he's more than welcome to come back to the health center. like if Rosie won't let him in.
Mm-hmm. So Rosie leaves the door open.
Mm-hmm. We get a cute little Wayne, all adorable. He's like, Ma.
Yeah, he wants to see, obviously wants to see his dad.
Yeah, he lets her know that he's home, and then she kind of opens the door, but she like kind of just like leaves it open and kind of walks away, so he's free to come in.
Kind of symbolic of like you're allowed in here, but I don't really want anything to do with you.
I'm not welcoming you in.
So Eric talks to Joe, and Joe says that, he asks him about Peter, and he says the hilarious line, like, if he had to feed his family with a rifle, they'd starve. Mm-hmm. He says that before that, he says, if you need to take a Kennedy hunting, take Michelle.
And then Michelle talks to Rosie, questions her, and then Rosie tells her to get a search warrant because Michelle wants to look at the guns.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's a little suspicious.
Uh-huh.
Leslie talks to Eric, and she kind of makes a little pass at him. She says, I think she says, is it usually like this crazy up here? And he says, oh no, it's pretty peaceful. And then she says, is it lonely?
Yeah.
So, you kind of get the impression that she's offering herself up.
Even though she thinks there's a thing going on with him and Sarah, which is her boss too, on top of it.
And we find out more in later episodes, but I'm not going to spoil that.
Oh yeah. Next episode gets interesting, we'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. So yeah, Leon sees a bullet missing.
Yep, so now he's really thinking Rosie shot Albert, obviously.
Yeah, and then Elsie won't let TV talk to Eric. Like, TV's about to tell Eric what he knew.
Yeah, you can tell TV kind of wants to tell the story, right? But then Elsie talks to him in Dene again and shuts him down. So he just says, oh, maybe I just heard some wood splitting or something.
And then, you just see this awesome Elsie. I don't know why I'm doing this like weird Python hand thing. Sorry, but
take that salt bag.
Sorry, but anyways, she's just got that awesome Elsie like stare, her very unique and central thing.
Mm-hmm. So then Leon questions Rosie.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says she shot a rabbit. And he's like, was it 303? And it's true. I mean, a 303 is a pretty hefty gun. I don't think you'd want to shoot a rabbit. Wouldn't be a whole lot left to eat.
It was funny, his reaction. But yeah, Michelle questions Peter about his clean gun. Mm-hmm. And he's like, you can't be a cop in this. Like, what are you talking about? I am a cop.
Yeah, I find that statement kind of like, it's like, come on, dude. Like,
and then he's
there's
still
never
like
really
mad at her. Like,
oh
it's
yeah,
like,
and it's like, dude, though, like with that job, like, there's not, you can't just not be a cop.
That
like,
means
you're
she's a cop.
always a cop. Yeah, any of you know a cop know that cops are that way when they're off duty usually too, right? So then Albert arrives home. Mm-hmm. Peter bows to Eric. He basically, like, they talk it out.
It was like a hand thingy, kind of more to the head. I said bows, but I didn't really know how to describe that thing. Sorry.
Yeah, he kind of gives him a little, like, head nod thing.
Yeah, it was like this hand. But it's
salute.
Thank you. That's the word. Mm-hmm. Sorry, it's really like charades with me.
And it's, you kind of would think it's respect, but I don't think so. I think it's more like a little jab at him.
Yeah, it was definitely meant to be rude. You could tell by the way his face was and everything. And then Michelle and Eric talk about the freeze out.
That's ironically the title of the episode.
Michelle's severely hurt because this is the first time that she's ever been part of being frozen out by the town.
Yeah, it seems like they typically do it to her non-Dene partner, but this is the first time that the town's actually kind of included her in the freeze out.
Mm-hmm.
So then Leon proposes, despite the fact that we've already figured out they've been married in an earlier episode.
Yes, they specifically said they're married. That was the word that they used. So unless they're talking about common law marriage,
which it must be. I mean, I don't know. Like that's the only explanation.
Or they just messed up because sometimes shows do that.
But Leon his actual
change character names and stuff like that throughout the show, so they do mess up.
So then Rosie's all happy, but then Leon says that, once we get married, I can't testify against you, and that's the whole reason why.
I'm thinking, you already can't testify, but okay.
So
that's the rule. Yeah, I'm sorry, go.
Okay, then Peter and Michelle have another talk. To be honest, I can't really remember what they said there.
And Sarah is a little jealous, maybe, sorry, I don't know why I talk like that. Okay. Over Leslie and Eric, it's a little...
So then Michelle hands Rosie a warrant, and Joe backs her up.
Testifies.
Yeah, he basically says, I was here at this time, and I brought her fish.
Why didn't you tell? And Sarah, not Sarah. Michelle's like, why didn't you tell Eric this? It's like, I didn't think it matters.
Yeah, it was a brilliant answer actually by Joe. It sounds really simple, but he says, I didn't think it mattered. I didn't think you'd blame Rosie, right? And it's it makes what he says make sense because, why would he talk about that if they didn't think Rosie was the suspect, right? So.
Yeah. And then they talk about how they're getting married, and Joe is going to be the best mom.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm singing. Okay, I'm really weird today. Sorry.
Well, she says she asked Michelle if she'll be her bridesmaid. She says,
Michelle's.
Sure. She's really happy for her. She can tell.
And it was a sweet moment because she's like Joe's gonna be Leon's like Joe's gonna be the best man, and then it's like
Joe's like
Michelle's like, and then Michelle is about to leave, and she's like literally like right at the door and everything, and then Rosie says it, and it's just like, yay! Michelle's all happy. She gets to be a part of the wedding. I think she was worried there for a second that that Rosie wasn't gonna want her to be a part of it.
Yeah, and we find out throughout the show that Michelle and Rosie were kind of close, kind of way back, and they're cousins, right? So, probably not.
I haven't 100% confirmed it yet. Because I'm confirming all ancestral links while making the family tree while rewatching it this time around. So I'm really weird. I'm like analyzing it.
Hey, I think people will appreciate it.
I don't know. I think I'm a little strange, but anyways, we'll see. I've got like all the ancestral links and everything, and there's some people that you never know actually their ancestral links. You just know that they're related because of their last names from the town. Albert kicks the boys out to talk to Peter. They're playing some sort of video game, right?
Yeah, and you can tell, he wants this to be serious. He wants to have a serious discussion.
You said it was the exact same sound as the video game that Andy's Game Boy was playing.
Yeah,
too,
yeah,
right?
I found that kind of strange, but I guess, that's all they had for video game sound effects.
Or maybe that game is really popular, they have it for every system.
Their license with Nintendo fell through.
Albert agrees not to sell to Leon, and Peter lifts the van.
Yeah, and it's a moment of respect between the two of them, which you don't get very often, but it's kind of nice to see. Two of the strong male elders who are always against each other in the community, but at this point, they actually agree on something. So then Eric and Michelle talk about theories. About possibly maybe it was a warning shot.
Yeah, as it was kind of perfect how it just shot him in the arm like that.
Mm-hmm. So then Peter announces the end of the band.
Mm-hmm.
And then Joe and Eric talk at their tea time, but it gets a little more serious than usual.
Yes, Eric gives Joe his theory, and Joe's very, you know, that's what you think, you know, that's what you have to do, stuff like that. His theory was that Joe had done it.
Yeah, and he more or less gets a statement from Joe, and he says something, doesn't he say, I'll have to corroborate that later or something?
Yeah, he was
Joe's
helping
like,
Willie, that was
yeah.
it. And he's like, I'll have to talk to Willie about that.
And he's like, okay. You know, it's basically like, you know, he's saying to him, listen, you know, if you've got something you want to change about this, tell me now, right? And basically by saying, you know, that's alright, Joe's saying no, like, that's my story. So yeah, that's how it ends.
Yeah, well, because when Eric and Michelle talk theories, after they say it was a warning shot, Michelle's like, there was only one person it could be. If it was a warning shot, it could only be.
Only one person in town is that good of a shot to pull that off. That's what basically she's getting at, and that's Joe.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was the episode. It was an interesting one to say the least.
So I guess we'll go on to our discussion questions. What do you guys think of Leslie? Were you surprised by the pass she made at Eric?
I find her kind of annoying. She's kind of like this nerdy girl, and to be honest, well, yeah, I don't know, whatever. But she just, I don't know. I guess how she's like asking questions all the time, that annoys me about her, and the way she asks them, you know. But anyways.
Yeah, well, I find her very rude.
Well, yeah, she's very forward. But that's what made me think that kind of surprised that she made a pass at Eric too, because she doesn't seem like that kind of girl to me. I don't know.
Yes, especially later on, we find out she's even a different kind of girl. Who do you think, sorry, next question. Who do you think really shot Albert? So, even though we kind of lean to it being Joe, who do you think it was? Do you really think it was Joe? Do you think it was Rosie?
Well, they kind of leave
Who do you think it was and why? And do you think he deserved it? They never actually
well, what do you
officially
think? I mean, you asked me the last question. What do you think of this?
Well, I honestly, like I said, I honestly think Joe did it.
Yeah, I think so too. But they really leaned heavily towards Rosie at one point, and it's almost hard to believe she didn't, because you know she hates Albert so much.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, I guess I would go with Joe.
Especially after he's like, okay, well, you know, I was like off with Willie then.
Yeah.
You know, I did this with Rosie, then I was off with Willie. It's like, okay.
So yeah, that's it.
I don't know. Again, I'm doing these weird hand things.
So what do you guys think of these questions? You know, it'd always be nice to get some answers in our comments.